Welcome to the show. My name's Jeremy Poole, and I'm the host of The Moment, where we explore and celebrate the necessary transformational process you must go through to achieve a high level in the real estate industry. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again for another panel where I bring together some of the best and brightest in the real estate industry to educate and inspire and motivate you to reach higher and achieve greater. Let's get going with introductions, starting on our left.
Hi, I'm Cindy Fraioli-Carlson, and I'm with Guild Mortgage Company in Kirkland.
Hi, I'm Nathan Krause. I'm with idesignworks and My Contractor Me.
I'm Adrian Webb with Absolute Mortgage, Division of Finance of America.
Hi, I'm Yassi Jazayeri. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Realty in Bellevue.
I'm Mike Nichols with Lotlauncher.com.
Shane Kindwell with Dwell Mortgage.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. Super excited. Some of the stuff that you guys can't see prior to the panel is how much fun we have setting up, getting makeup, having drinks, and so forth. So I'm really, really excited about this group. Let's jump right into it. Cindy, you're first with your question. There is a specific segment in your bio that really jumped out at me. It reads, by acknowledging her clients for exactly who they are and genuinely listening to their specific needs and wants, she has redefined the traditional confusing lending process to one that is actually fun and full of peace of mind and clarity. Cindy, what exactly did you mean by those statements?
Yeah, so for me, I just really try to learn about my clients in a way that's not like, okay, here's your rate and here's your program. Like, we really try to get to know them.
Right.
We try to find out, I always ask them, why are you buying a house?
Okay.
What is your goal with this? And just kind of dig in a little bit, get to know them, understand their personality. And then that way, I think it's just a better experience for them, I'm always telling people on my team, we just want to have fun.
Yeah.
And we want our clients to have as much fun as possible during a process that can be a little arduous.
Absolutely. I love that. And so I guess some of my follow-up questions would be, do you have like an exact template? Like, is there like a list of questions that you sort of found that allow you to dive a little bit deeper and build that relationship? And I guess another question I would have is there ever a point where you say, you know what, maybe perhaps buying a house right now isn't the best choice for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's good to always make sure that you're doing the right thing by the client, right? Because my ultimate goal always is that I want them to come back, right? We don't want to just have a transaction. We really want to get to know them. So yeah, there's definitely questions that I ask to dig in a little bit deeper. One of the ones is I always ask, why are you buying a house right now? What's going on in your life that's really driving this decision? And then how can we come in and help you achieve your long-term goals?
Right.
So.
Love that. Now, as somebody who's also been a mortgage lender for 6 years, and in your case, you've been in the business, 21 years?
Yeah.
21 years now, and you're approaching, or you have surpassed now, $1 billion in transactions. Is there a particular segment, like a particular loan type that people just know you for and bring you business?
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything, right? Lots of purchases, lots of refinances, different kinds of loans. But I would say jumbo is probably one that I love to do. I lived in Santa Barbara for about 9 years, and I really learned to be good at jumbo because I had to, because that was the market. Sure. And now it's here, right? And so I'd say that's a segment. And then again, first-time home buyers, I love too. And those can be the same borrower, right?
Sure.
It just depends. So I love the variety there, but I would say those two probably stick out for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just sort of touching on how the market has shifted here,
Yeah.
have you seen a massive surplus or a massive increase in your volume last year versus in, say, 2018, 2019?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think that, with COVID, of course, rates were at all-time lows. So we had a huge refi business and then purchases as well, because even though we were in a great market here in Seattle, prices are going up, having low interest rates is really helping, people to be able to afford more. And so, yeah, we're certainly seeing huge influx, especially in this area.
Love that.
Yeah.
How many people do you currently have on your team? And did you have to increase that member count to
Yeah.
handle increase in volume?
We're trying.
Okay.
You know, it's one of those things where I'm trying to be slow to hire and quick to fire, so to speak, where I want the right people.
Right.
And for me, I'd rather have someone that works hard, has high integrity, smart, willing to learn, versus bringing in somebody with more experience. Sometimes that's just a better hire. Right now, I have 2 loan partners, and then I've got a processor that are on my team. And we're maxed. I mean, I'd love to hire one more. I'll put it that way, but want to make sure it's the right one.
So on that, utilizing this possibly as a recruiting opportunity,
Yeah.
who are you looking for?
Well, like I said, somebody that wants to learn, is kind of willing to roll up their sleeves and try different things and dive in where we need them to be. You know, my business, as you guys know, is very fluid, and it's a lot of multitasking. It's pretty high stress. You know, you're dealing with people's emotions and buying a home. So there's a lot of emotions that go into it, and I think somebody that can adapt to that and not be intimidated by it, and just really good work ethic and integrity. Those are the things. You know, I can teach the rest, right?
Yeah.
But those things,
Right.
you can't really teach. So
Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions for me?
21 years, looking back, what would you tell the former Cindy? Like, knowing what you know now, what would
great
you tell
question.
Cindy? Because being in the business 11 years, I'm like, I tell myself constantly, man, I would never have done what I did when I started,
Yeah.
right? 21 years is a long time in our business.
yeah, it is. I feel old. Definitely. I would say number one, don't take things personal. You know, it can be tough in this business, right? And I would say the second one would be coached right away. Don't wait so long to be coached.
That's one I hear all the time.
Yeah.
Sadly to say, I never accepted that. I definitely should have jumped on that, because
Yeah.
those individuals that really built a big business, they all got coached early on.
Yeah.
And
It's
I know
definitely a game
the
changer.
Core is one of them, and I know that you own a coaching company. We'll jump
I do.
into that later.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think coaching is huge, and it's the things you don't know
Right.
Yeah.
that'll come back to bite you, and those will be the things that when you learn from somebody who's done it before will come back to help you. And it's like
Yeah.
getting on that express lane versus being stuck in traffic, right?
Yeah, and it's very collaborative, and it's accountability, right? I need that. I mean, as hard as I know I work, I definitely need that, because you're in
Yeah.
the core too,
Yeah.
to just be focused and be
Clarity.
doing the right things, right?
And
So-
what is it that motivates you the most? Is it just seeing the people, your team, or what is it
Yeah.
that kind of drives you each day?
Great question. Like, I thought it was the money, and that is so down the list for me. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, for me, it really is helping other people. Like, I'm at a point in my career right now where I'm like, what excites me is helping my team achieve their goals and watching these girls grow. I'm like, man, I wish I would have had someone like that in my life when I was that age. And then just helping clients, right? And I love it when they come back.
Yes.
For me, that's what excites me.
That's fantastic. I absolutely love that. That's one thing I noticed when I was doing the initial pre-interview. That's sort of the process. I reach out to individuals and sort of do a pre-interview to understand if they'd be a good fit for the show. And when we initially had our conversation, just how you approach answering the questions and just your presence on the phone, it was powerful, and I knew that you'd be a great fit. So I can only imagine you in the role of sort of coach and leader with your team, that you probably have a really good flow and process for that.
Yeah, I love to do it. I really do. And I think it just comes from me not having good mentors and people like that in my life when I was younger. And so I just see the value in it, and it's fun for me. So, yeah.
Well, good. Right on. Thank you so much, Cindy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Nate, buddy, you're up next.
Cool.
All right. Nate, as an architectural home designer with a whopping 5,000 home designs under your belt and over 10 years experience building contemporary spec homes, why have you decided to launch your latest project, My Contractor Me, and how does it align with your residential design company, idesignworks?
Sure, yeah. So, I've been doing residential home design for 22 years. My father's been an architect since 1972, so I've grown up in the business. I've grown up, my uncles and cousins are all in the development building business as well, so it's been my entire life. And My Contractor Me is going to be a 6-hour educational series on how to teach homeowners to work with their contractor, from everything from the beginning of like having the initial conversation with your spouse or your significant other to the very end where you're doing a home warranty potentially, or how do I get my warranty out of my contractor and what does that really mean, right? And so just through the years, and this has been something 4 or 5 years very much on the forefront, but really 20 years of just listening to people and everything from they're always going to get the house built. Well, the majority of the time they're always going to get the house built. And it's the process, right? Like you're mentioning, it's the experience that these people are having of, like what change orders come up. Like, did I not plan something pops up and you don't know in the middle of a remodel or something happens, right? And next thing you know, it's $50,000 more, and it takes 6 months longer. At the end, you see them at the barbecue. Everybody's happy, it's exciting, whatever. But then everybody has a few drinks and kids are running around. They sit back and they go, "Man, this costs an extra $100,000 and it took 6 extra months." And you don't hear that, right? And so when it comes down to it, it's just people don't know what they know, like you're mentioning, and it's if they have the education behind that, then they can actually have an educated conversation with the contractor and people they're working with to be able, whether it's the realtor or the mortgage person or interior designer, or when you say the word MEPS, like if you're a contractor, what does MEPS mean? And everybody's like, I don't really know, but MEPS is mechanical, electrical, plumbing, systems. And so giving some people best practice, terminology, just all the kind of insider information somebody needs to know. And there's no big secret here, it's just, but it's giving somebody in your face, this is the process from beginning to end.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that is incredible and absolutely brilliant. When we first had our initial conversation, you started walking me through what you're planning on doing, what you have been doing, and why you were planning on rolling out this new service, this new product. And I think it's going to be huge, because doing what I do as someone who was a lender, who's currently an agent, also does this, has done some investing in the past. I have a lot of friends who are flipping like crazy, right? Doing a lot of flips. And now a lot of them are shifting from buying homes that need to be torn down or improved to just buying land and building. And it seems like there's like this trend, this culture of people who haven't gone through that process. Maybe have a tremendous amount of experience with construction or revamping a home or doing a flip, but not necessarily starting from A and going to Z. So I think you're going to do extremely well there. At what point in time did you say, this is definitively a product I want to start pursuing?
Sure. Well, I like I mentioned, this is 4 or 5 years of me taking notes in a binder and just continually massaging, writing scripts, changing scripts, and I really came to the point where I wanted to just get the bullet points across to people and then talk about each one of them, and so really this last year and a half, 2 years, as everybody's being forced to use Zoom calls and get online, and all the kids are educating themselves, and the millennial generation is there, and they're eager for the information. They want to know, and they just don't, right? And so we're going to put this out at an affordable price that people can say this is a no-brainer, and then they get their 6 hours of education, and there'll be 12 different parts to the series, and at the end, throughout the process, they'll be able to take a quiz. During that quiz, they're going to get some kind of financial benefit during, whether it's with I'm not going to name suppliers, but certain suppliers that are well-known suppliers that are going to be able to give them a discount during the process. So they're actually going to be able to get something back, and it's not just paying for the course. They actually get to receive a discount during the process.
Interesting. That's incredible. When can we expect to have access to this?
We are currently filming. We started a couple weeks ago. We're filming this weekend up here, and then we'll be editing in May, and we're planning to launch early June.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, I know I have a lot more questions. Do you guys have any questions?
When did you know you were a success at that? I mean, that's just a huge amount to take on. Is there one point that you said, I need to do this? This is something that I think would be really beneficial for my clients.
I think it's just over the last 20 years, just understanding, listening to people, and it's important that people spend sometimes their life savings on, and they're going to do this once, and they go through. It's going to take 6 months to a year, and they're trusting somebody with potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, in the process. And so I think just having that experience is super important. I think in anybody's life, right? So.
I think it's a phenomenal time to launch that too, because what you find now is people are more willing to cut small checks to save big checks, right? And that's what you're talking about. I built a home several years ago. We had no clue what we were doing. And the builder is not wired to be a great communicator. They're wired to be great builders. And so there's no advocate for you to understand and to bring it down to an elementary level. So this is a brilliant idea to bring to the market.
Love that.
I think so too. It's like it's overwhelming to think of buying a house. Like we're thinking about being buyers right now, and the market's so crazy. We're like, should we build? And then we're like, oh, that just seems really overwhelming. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny that we're the professionals, the experts, but then we forget how much is involved, and then we go back through and we're like, oh my gosh, this is stressful, and I'm a lender and it's stressful getting a home or real estate or whatever. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, fantastic. So here's something else I'd like to ask. Your business is based in Oregon, but you're also operating in Texas, Arizona.
Correct, yeah. So idesignworks, I'm expanding that business to multiple markets. Just through COVID and whatnot, I've shifted my business model to not having employees since everybody wants to work from home anyways. So shifting to 1099 partners that I could easily hire as employees. I want to give them the opportunity to build their business and continue to support them. And so I'm expanding to the different states to kind of continue to find other good people that are willing to work hard and see the vision and be able to help them
Excellent.
through the process.
Right on. Fantastic. Moving on to you, Adrian. You're up next. You went from just over $30 million in production in 2018 to $65 million in 2019, and then over $100 million in loan volume in 2020 with just a small team. What do you attribute as the main turning point, or the moment, if you will, that fueled this tremendous growth spurt, and what was the most valuable lesson you learned from that experience?
Gosh, well, thanks for having me. It's good to be here with this great group. Well, unfortunately, in January 2019, lost my older brother. And it was a time in my life where I was like, gosh, things are so valuable. And all of a sudden, it's like so many things have changed. And have I brought it as a great husband? Am I a great team member? Am I a great mortgage advisor? And I was like, I work hard, I hustle, I do what I can, but do I just leave it all on the table? Like, do I have a project I want to do and I leave it off a day or two? Or but I was like, you know what, I can do better. So I was starting to read some stories, and I'm no historian, of course, but I saw the story about Hernan Cortez when he came to the New World, and he had 600 people, 600 troops that he was with, and he went and fought, and they came back to the ships, and then the third time, I guess, he's like, I'm burning the ships, we're all in, and there's no coming back, right? So I brought that mantra to my team, which in that position, it was one person. So I was just getting going, right? So then I talked to my company. I said, hey, this is my vision. I'm like really passionate about this. I know that I can do better. 30 million is okay. But and back then, gosh, we forget what volume is these days now that it's so different. But I got them to allow me to hire another person. And then our operations manager saw, wow, he's so passionate, and she got her sister on my team. And then we started to get people like-minded, and it was so like we got to decide that this was our thing, and then you get the right people around you to support your vision. And that was a big moment in my life. I mean, obviously, the title of your show is so good, but losing my brother brought me to where am I living out my potential? Am I doing everything every day? Do you want to sleep in? Sure, but we get to wake up at 4:30 or 5 or whatever that number is, and we get to make these calls, right? So it just was a mind shift for me to where I was like, I'm doing it, and I'm ready to just go all in, and I want the right team and company behind me, and I found that I'm so lucky and grateful.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. I really appreciate you sharing that. In the midst of you having that moment, was that feeling of, I'm going to utilize this as fuel and as a launch pad to take me to the next level, was that sort of instantaneous, or was it sort of a process of days or months or even years in which you had to really sit in that and to really try to understand what that meant, that you could be here one day and still have so much unfinished work to do, and then the next day you could not be here?
Yeah, well, it happened fairly quickly. I mean, my brother was in an accident when we were younger, so he was a fatality on the scene, and his life was a gift. I mean, we were so lucky to have him for as long as we did, and then it instantly was like, I've done so much, but I haven't left it all out there. And every day, so I prepare, and it changes the way that I look at a day. Like, we all work hard here, but you have it where you're like, you know what? It's nice out. Let's go to happy hour.
Yeah,
Right. I don't do that because I have this commitment, and it makes decisions easy for me. And it's great in one way, but then it's also kind of tough because with my team, when you want to live your ultimate potential, it's not a volume target, it's not a number of units or families you help, it's how can we be better every single day. And there's times where we might hit 10 million, I'm like, let's do it twice in a row. Like, we just hit 10 or we just hit 12. It's like, that doesn't matter to me. That doesn't drive me. It's like, how can we be better? Or we hit 18 on-time closings. I'm like, but what about this one? Why do we miss that one, right? So it's like, it's a little empty sometimes. It's probably, and I've had to find the right people around me because there's times where, I don't really stop and smell the roses, and because there's always that much more that I want to do. But the other side of it is it brings this complete consistency where, because I don't do things for volume or a paycheck, I do it because I want us to be the best and I want to just live out our best potential. It means that I show up consistent every day. I'll do that Saturday night call. I'll do a midday Sunday Zoom call with a client because they need a house and I want to help them. And if our team can continue to grow, and I want to keep our team small because I want to be a part of the process, and that's my big why, is if you're really clear on the why, I think that it makes the decisions easy, and it makes it easy to find the people around you that are going to be the ones that can really help you flourish.
Love that answer. Just crushed that. Thank you so much. Within that, after you made the big decision, I'm going to turn Adrian 1.0, I like to call it, to 2.0. Did you already know what needed to be done prior that you haven't been doing? Or was it a situation like, there's so much more left, what do I need to do? Or what do I need to know in order to take my business and my life to the next level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I always had some direction. I'm in the core, and actually it was around the same time that I joined, as I had some structure, but having the team, so our branch manager gets involved. Ryan Bukowski is a huge part of our team, and then with COVID being remote, my sister-in-law is in Nevada, and she could join the team, and she's been amazingly helpful. And then I had a guy on my team that he went back to the industry he was in, but he got his younger brother on the team, and so you just get the right people around you. And I've always known what to do, but you can't do it on your own, right? So you need these supportive people that are there, and we have a great company behind us. But and believe me, I'm still learning. So I feel like, yeah, I have an idea of what to do, and I know, but there's nobody who's going to work harder or be more committed than any of us, and we're just super lucky. Yeah.
I love that. What was like the first big thing? You're like, okay, this is a roadblock, or this is an opportunity for growth here. Like, what was the first big major thing that you decided as a team, we're going to handle this or improve upon this, or even stop doing?
Such a good question. Yeah, so, well, first off, it was just I had one team member, right? So I hired a second, so that was good. And then it was like, how do we have a process to make sure that we're all working together? And then it was just grit and determination. I just put in more hours. I'm so for it. My wife is like the most understanding and great. Amanda, thank you for just letting me. She makes a lot of sacrifices to our time. We don't really do vacations. I don't unplug. I haven't unplugged in 11 years, and maybe people look at this and go, that's pathetic, but I would be in Ireland at 3 a.m. and making phone calls because it's an 8-hour difference, and that's what it took, right? So, and if you love what you do, it's not like, I didn't feel like walking down the street at 3 a.m. when the whole family's sleeping was weird. I was just doing what I love, right? Just making calls. So last 10 years I haven't really unplugged. I've just really been excited about what I get to do, and again, we get to do it, and that's where I think that was the big mind shift in. We don't have to do anything, and my brother would love to have the ability to do any of what we do, but he's no longer here. So it's like, I get to wake up early, I get to work hard, I get to call clients, I get to meet with business affiliates. Like, we get to do these things, and it's just a way to kind of live my life, really.
Wow, absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Adrian. Do you guys have any questions for him?
I have a question. On those days where you're maybe not as motivated, right? No matter how much fun we have and how motivated we are, and we all have those days, right? What is something that you do to kind of get out of that?
And again, it comes back to just that clarity of I get up. Now, there's still, we're all human, right?
Yeah.
So there's those days, and I just don't let it happen a second day. Mm-hmm. So I might have a day where I'm like, gosh, I'm not feeling it. And if you work a lot and you just have a day like that,
Yeah.
I might just go and hit a couple golf balls. I'm like, look, it's just, I'm not going to be good here. I'm not good for anybody right now. But I promise you, the next day, I'm going to wake up and be ready. I mean, I only let one day get out of there. And then the next day, it's like refocus, recharge, and then get back to it.
Yeah.
Adrian, going from like 30 to 60 million, to me, that's even more impressive than going from 60 to 100 because everybody, like we talked about, last year was a record year. It was a banner year, right? Like refis were falling out of the sky. What do you think was the number one or a couple things that were tools or things that like were just the most impactful going 30 to 60?
Well, I think it was mindset, number one. I believed I could do it, right? So I had for years said, I want to do 50 million, and I'd write the goal down, but would I take the right steps, or would I put like the plan together and say I'm going to do it? And like I said, when I said I'm burning the ships, I'm like, there's no turning back. Here is my plan. I'm going to make all the calls I said. I'm going to be on green time. I'm going to track it, and then I'm going to go back and say, okay, yesterday wasn't great. I'm going to make sure I do it today, right? So it was really just getting super clear on it and then tracking it every day. And then if you didn't have a great day, I don't beat myself about it, but the next day I'm like, you know what? Today's a new day. I'm going to make it, right? So it was really just kind of having that mindset, I think, and believing that number. And part of being in the core, I think, helped too, because I'm like, there's nothing super special about that guy. He's doing a lot more business than I am. I'm like, that's where the potential comes in. I'm like, I know that our team and our company has the potential to be way better. And if I don't bring it and make sure that we do that, then I'm not kind of doing justice to my company or my team or my wife or my family, anybody that if you can be the best you ever can be, just try and do everything you can to do it,
It's funny, I went to a coaching event, and when I was new in the business, I was a full-time fireman, part-time lender. So everybody had this mystique around them. And then you go to an event, you're like, if these guys can do it, like anyone can do it, right? But the difference was they just consistently, like you mentioned, they had a plan and they consistently worked the plan, even if the plan didn't work day over day. Because they believed it, and they saw others who worked the plan, the same plan didn't work day over day.
Yeah, it's that discipline of each day, looking at what it was, and then, gosh, you know what? I now know, here's how many outbound calls I should make every day. Fell short, or here's how many live calls. So having those metrics to know like what that perfect day is or perfect week is, and then tracking and then watching to see if you've done it, that's kind of where it's like, and you look in the mirror and say, gosh, I got to be better today, So.
Love that. Awesome, Adrian. Thank you so much. And on that note, we'll be back after a short break.